1 year ago, NASDAQ-listed infrastructure engineering software company Bentley Systems paid US $900 million in cash and 3.1 million Bentley shares for Christchurch-headquartered geological software company Seequent. It was the biggest ever acquisition for the Pennsylvania-based acquirer, and one it is more than happy with, especially since Seequent won High-Tech Company of the Year at the recent High-Tech Awards in New Zealand for its global success. I spoke with Seequent CEO Graham Grant and Bentley Systems Chief Marketing Officer Chris Bradshaw about what the drivers were for the acquisition. And Bradshaw said there were two big reasons.
The first is Seequent was a leader in the mining industry, and that was an industry that Bentley wasn't strong. So there was an opportunity for market expansion. But probably more importantly than that, Seequent's technology, which is great for mining and helping miners understand what's under the ground, is also great for engineers to understand what's under the ground of infrastructure. So subsurface engineering, design and analysis is a critical part of all infrastructure projects. And so we saw a natural synergy between Bentley and Seequent to drive market expansion basically for both companies.
For his part, Grant said it had given Seequent many things.
One very obvious thing is access to markets. So if you think, we started one staff member in 2004. By the time we joined, we were 550 thereabouts. And we were looking to expand into global markets, which Bentley was already in. So one of our big strategic moves, they were already in that market. So the built infrastructure market. And that's incredibly exciting to get that launching pad.
When asked how different it was being run by an American company that's substantially owned by five brothers rather than private equity backers, Grant said Seequent was not run by Bentley, it is owned by Bentley. And it's the only one of the American company's acquisitions to operate as a standalone company.
They sought for us to retain autonomy so that we could continue to grow fast and be a global leader in the space that we're in. And hats off to Bentley for recognising that, because that's an out-of-norm move for them. But they had the strategic foresight to see that and set that in place, which was a big decision on their part, a brave decision.
Bradshaw said there were two reasons why Bentley did that, maintaining the Seequent brand and the product brands underneath.
Number one, the Seequent brand is very strong. And so we didn't want to in any way damage or harm that. Seequent is known in the mining industry and in subsurface geophysics and so on. So that was very important to us. The second reason, probably a little bit more maybe around culture and whatnot, Seequent has a very strong corporate culture and across the world, certainly in New Zealand as well. But that sense of identity is important to that group, and we absolutely wanted to maintain that and have them continue with that.
Bradshaw said he's worked in this industry for over 30 years and seen a lot of acquisitions, but this one was one of the best he'd seen in terms of integration, business continuity, and the people and cultures blending well together. So why has it gone so well?
I think it's the people, to be perfectly honest with you. Both Bentley and Seequent are comprised of good people, and they really enjoy creating value for users and accounts. And so this kind of coming together to make solutions that weren't possible before is a big motivator. I think the other thing that is true, sustainability, environmental practice, social responsibility, these are all things that are very core to both companies' cultures. And so there was natural kind of coming together around those issues, both sort of personally, but also corporately speaking.
Grant said there were cultural differences, but not ones that had slowed the Kiwi company down.
At the point we were acquired, I described this to our staff as something like a large cruise liner and a speedboat. We're obviously the speedboat. And those two ways of working are very different. Now, the great news is that we plug into the supply lines of the cruise liner. So be that, processes, maturity, capital, all those, just horsepower because of size. So yes, there's a difference. And some of those difference is feedback into the business. That said, the core of the culture we have, which is extremely strong, remains, and they wish it to remain. So it's about, passion, being purpose-driven, customer-focused, innovative, fast-moving, speedboat-esque. You need a culture that can maintain the speedboat style of working.
Bentley gave the Seequent CEO one instruction on takeover: please grow faster. Seequent's financial performance is not broken out from its parent's reported results, but has it grown faster?
He's done that. They've just had a fantastic year. Seequent is growing at twice the rate of the Bentley core business. So just to quantify that, that's a pretty outstanding achievement for that group.
In its most recent reporting on the NASDAQ, Bentley described Seequent as flourishing. I asked Grant what that meant.
Capital F, that might be a good way to put it. No, we are flourishing. And why would you use that word? What does that mean? It probably means that we are doing really well on all fronts. So we're not a one-trick pony. We're growing strong in geographies, in end market verticals, in the product sets that we're developing, the new product sets coming to market, channels, the emerging spaces. So in all of those things, we're performing very strongly. And I think that for them is so encouraging because we're a highly diversified and strong business.
Seequent recently won High Tech Company of the Year at the High Tech Awards after first entering a decade ago. Grant said getting that recognition was great for recruiting new staff.
It's amazing, and thanks for rubbing that in. We've been finalists for, I think someone said 6 years, so I think we should have got a second award for trying, or at least some flybys or something. But look, seriously, it's very, very important. We're, as you may well know, we're a relatively unknown company in New Zealand relative to our scale and what we've achieved, and that's always been the case. So it gets the name back up, and it gets the name up for our staff who, work away every day doing incredible work, but that recognition is often not made public, and something like this brings it to the surface.
Bradshaw said Bentley was expecting Seequent to continue on its high growth path in the next year.
More of the same. The high growth, they're firing on all cylinders. And I think we've just barely started touching the surface of the synergy that I was describing. So really starting to position Leapfrog and some of the other parts of the Seequent portfolio for subsurface engineering for infrastructure, not just mining. And we're already seeing examples of that take root, and I think it's just going to continue to grow.